hell of a difference.
Here's a gentleman, a very funny man, whose jokes have been stolen for years while he labored in rather somewhat fruitless vineyards, you might say. He's had so many imitators, and people who stole from him became successful, and Red Fox inspired I don't know how many comedians, and of recent years, he has come into his own. He is a very, very funny gentleman. We welcome Red Fox. Right, Scott.
Thank you very much. Thank you if you applauded. If you didn't applaud, I hope your home burns down. If I knew where it was, it would. I'm only kidding, though, seriously. I want you to know that tonight my subjects will vary. You watch. You think I'm lying. To begin with, we'll mention Stephen Foster, who wrote many beautiful tunes. Oh, I don't remember them because that kind of music don't thrill me. I like James Brown, B.B. King. But, you know, tote that barge and you lift that bell. Steve, you lift that bell yourself. Some people aren't built for labor. I wouldn't help 76 longshoremen lift up a wet butterfly. If that's what I have to do to support my family, they can forget it, because I don't have but two. One ugly wife and an ugly daughter. See, ugly parents are the cause of ugly kids. You follow an ugly kid home and see on somebody ugly open the door. A friend of mine is just a nice tan, sir. My goodness. If we ever took over, you could pass. But, no, I want to tell you some other stuff. See how my stories vary right away? See, because I have to skip 6 to get to a nice one. But if you ever catch me in a nightclub, I'm good in nightclubs. I swear to President... Oh. You know, I watched that noise behind me. You have to be careful. You don't know who belongs to what group. But anyway, this guy came home one night. He thought his wife, you know what I mean, was suspicious. She said, hey, don't you never say nothing about you. You have to never worry about me when you go out. I'm true to you. And he said, well, listen. He got his gun out the drawer and got his knife out of his pocket, opened his knife and started honing it. You know, and sharpening it up real good. She said, what are you doing, honey? He said, see them blue suede shoes under the bed? If ain't nobody in them, I'm gonna shave. That's the way. Another guy was suspicious. He walked home. He was in the bathroom shaving, and he was shaving, had his face in the mirror, and he get ready to take, and he looked behind him, and the bathroom curtain was closed. So he turned around, you know, he said, what? He opened the bathroom curtains, the guy standing in the tub. The guy in the tub said, man, shut those curtains, I ain't through voting yet. See, you must have answers. Hurry up and get it over with, because you're slowing me down. You probably won't get a chance to see me no more. Maybe my brother will be back in New York. There's 3 of us, Ed, Red, and Ned. Triplets, born 45 minutes apart. Triplets, I'm one of triplets. My dad came to the hospital, and he saw my mother, and he saw the kids laying there in the crib. 3 of us. He looked at my mother and said, Mary, you pick out the one you want, because I'm going to drown them other 2. That's how I learned how to swim. I didn't mind to swim, was getting out that bag full of cats. My dad hated cats, too. Me, I don't hate cats, but I'm not going to kill my family in a station wagon ducking a black cat. No, that can happen to you. You be driving, look out for that black cat! Everybody dead. Canary, dog, everybody. I run over all cats, I don't care what color they are. I'm not going to wreck my $7,000 automobile ducking no 28-cent cat. That's bad arithmetic. The way I figure, 7,000 goes over 28 one time with nothing left over. I don't hate cats. I don't hate anything in the world. Only thing in the world that I hate is midgets and okra. I hate midgets. I'm not, you know, I just don't want them around. Get mad with a midget, you can't even cut him. You got to stab him in top of the head. But don't ever fight a midget unless you've done some midget fighting previously. And, yeah, I'll stop you. Hey, another thing bugs me. Kids that cry. Boy, I was on a plane once, San Francisco to New York, kid cried all the way. Look, all the way, 5 hours and 15 minutes. Lady looked at me with Circle Kennedy Airport. She said, sir, I don't know what to do with this baby. I said, well, I sure wish I could raise this window. But you know who's miserable? Couples that are married with no kids, no children in the house. They don't know what it means to give up so your child can have, to do without something. Childless couples don't know what it means to sit out on the couch in a big wad of peanut butter. Try to watch television through grape jelly, fingerprints, fall down on a skate, break their neck. They don't know what it means to have those kids around the house, watch your little boy grow from a little acorn into a complete nut. To nurse your daughter all the way through high school and college and become a beauty, and then watch her walk down the aisle with a junkie. I was telling my daughter, I have a daughter 19, you hear a horn? Oh, I always watch everything. You never can be careful. I never belong to any group because I don't march. I'll catch a cab and meet them, but I ain't never marched. But you know, if people found more love and more understanding and more trying to, you know, don't put people down. There's a scene at the cemetery. There was a Chinese fella putting food on the grave of his friend. Food, you know, a lot of rice and those things that you fry, and then shrimps and stuff. And the white fella was putting flowers on the grave. He looked over, Chinese fella said, when you expect your friend to come up and eat that food? Chinese fella said, about the same time your friend come up and smell them flowers. So I just want to donate, just understand. Hey, let me tell you a nice story. This is good. His wife went to one of those spiritualists, and the spiritualist connected him with his wife who had passed, with her husband. And she said, John, he was gone. She said, John, are you happy where you are? He said, I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. She said, you're happier than you were on earth? He said, oh, so much happier than I was on earth. She said, are you happier than you were with me? He said, oh, yes, darling, I'm just happy. She said, well, how is heaven? He said, I'm not in heaven. Hey, thanks a lot for listening. Here's what I want to say to you before I go. Everybody, find some love for each other, will you? Because nuclear war could only bring two places together, this world and the next. Thank you very much.
We'll be back after station identification or something of that effect. Station break. Oh, wait a minute. Hold everything, Red, because now a word from the bowl cleaner with more active cleaning ingredient than the other leading brand, Santa Flesh. Yes, sir, folks. Red, I don't know exactly the details of your history. You worked for years and years before you ever appeared on television, and then television came along, and you still didn't appear on it for a long time. Then you finally did. What actually happened that put you on TV?
Hugh Downs, I think, was directly responsible. Hugh Downs and Bobby Schiffman, who owns the Apollo Theater.
Yeah.
Along with his dad. I came to New York. I actually started in San Francisco during the 64, I think, Republican thing in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Well, Hugh Downs came to the club I was working in, and he thought I was funny. He said if I ever came to New York to get in touch with him, because he'd like to interview me, because he thought the public would like to see a guy who had sold 5 million albums and no one had ever seen. So, and that's quite a bit of sales.
That is a lot of albums. I've heard several of them, and it's a miracle that you're able to select lines from them to do on television.
Yeah, that's why I had the sheet there, because I hated to mess up, you know. And it's not easy to duck 25 good stories to jump to a nice television story.
No, right.
And, but anyway, when I got to New York, I went to Apollo Theater, and Bobby Schiffman said, I know Hugh Downs. I told him the story. So he called Hugh and let him know I was in town. And the next morning, I was on the Today Show. And that's how it all started.
That broke the considerable ice.
Right. Well, no one could believe that I could go on television after hearing my albums, you know, without saying something, you know, in relationship to how the album is put together.
Yeah.
But I don't think that way, actually. But it was a successful venture. It's better than breaking in folks' homes, you know. So I say, hey, look here, I don't have to break in homes no more. I mean, I don't have to break in homes. So...
The band seems to be relieved about that. Do those guys bother you while you're working? I noticed they chuckled and...
No, but the drummer, it seems though you loaned him out. I saw him somewhere else, but he's back here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
he's...
the bass player and the trumpet player, I know them from Savoy Ballroom, 19... And, yeah, they're brothers, you know. One of them.
I don't know whether to go into that any deeper or not.
It doesn't matter, because I'm not going to say anything that offends anyone, you know, like, racial stuff.
Oh, I see.
No.
Do you find that certain Negro comics don't amuse you as much as others for that reason?
I don't know any Negro comics.
Did I mean black comics?
Black sounds better to me.
You had
not that I'm conscious, not
you had an inkling of what I meant.
I don't belong to a group. The beard is for a picture I'm working in.
Oh, I see.
And when I'm clean shaven, you know, I just think money. I'm a black capitalist, I guess you'd call me, because I like $1,000 bills, but I like to try to help people that are down. You know, like a guy with 7 toes, I'd help him.
Well, that's a very pretty sentiment, I must say.
No, it's a good story, though. So if you went to the beach and saw a guy with 7 toes on each foot, how would you feel, you know? You'd have to have a certain amount of inside good feeling for, you wouldn't laugh right in their face. You know, sort of turn to the side and chuckle. You know, but I would be helpful. I would do something. I'd say, hey, why don't you paint your foot aquamarine and lay there like a scuba diver? Be helpful to people.
You're all heart, Red. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I got a heart transplant, but I won't tell that one.
Oh, that's one from the album, is it?
Yes.
All right. When Patty Duke was starring on Broadway as the young Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker, did you notice that I'm now introducing someone else?
I noticed you cut me right off.
We have to keep moving.
I understand.
I think it was Walter Kerr who said Miss Duke is a very great actress who only happens to be at the moment a child. At 16, she won an Academy Award for, you know, Miracle Worker, the film version. And then she grew up and appeared in Valley of the Dolls, which would age anyone, I would think. Anyway, she now has a movie called Me, Natalie, which sounds like a Tarzan Jane film, but will you welcome, please, a very professional and beautiful young lady, Patty Duke.
Tarzan and Jane, huh?
Well, it isn't a Tarzan Jane
No,
movie,
it isn't a
Natalie,
Tarzan
no.
and Jane movie.
However, those who have seen the flick, I'm not one of them, said that you look different in it, and that you, because of the plot, you have to look somewhat unattractive. How did they manage
Yes, it's a story about, in the conventional sense, an unattractive girl and her frustrations about being ugly. And so I wore a latex nose and some buck teeth.
Oh, yeah.
I really didn't need to do that, but they forced me.
I heard that you had a thing about your nose. This is the real one,
did.
not the latex one,
No,
right?
this is the real one. It's
Oh,
the
isn't
same
he
one I got
gallant,
on my
folks?
knife.
Just my way of loosening up a guest.
I think every girl
you-
has something about her that she doesn't like.
Knock it off. No, I read that you felt ugly as a child, and no one has ever accused you of that in adulthood, and I wondered if you actually were ugly as a child. Or
I think they referred to it as offbeat when I first started working.
offbeat looks.
Yes.
In the casting. You actually met Helen Keller
Yes,
one
I
time.
did. I met Helen Keller when she was 80 years old, and I was working in The Miracle Worker. Catherine Cornell had come to see the play, and they were great friends, and she invited me up to Miss Keller's home in Connecticut, and it was really lovely. She's a fascinating woman, and we spoke the manual alphabet, and it was really marvelous. And after she died a few months ago, I came home one day and found a package, and she had left a little jade perfume bottle for me in her will.
Gee.
I was really
She
very
could never
touched.
come see you, I mean, attend the play, could she? I
No,
know-
she used to attend plays and things when Polly Thompson was alive, but Miss Thompson died a few years before The Miracle Worker came on Broadway, so Miss Keller didn't go out much after that.
Yeah. Listen, a siren. They must be playing one of your albums nearby.
Oh, that's our theme. That's our theme song.
We're across from a fire station, and this is the first siren that we've had in this run of the show. It's quite nice, actually, isn't it?
Where is the fire?
I hope the fire's not in this building, or you'll see even more destruction. Can you do the manual, do you call it the manual alphabet?
Yes. Yes, I
But what is the
can.
thing that you do in the palm of another?
Well, see, you do it like this, and then the person who is deaf and blind can feel it, you know.
They can actually distinguish the letters?
Uh-huh.
I never understood that.
After a great deal of practice, they can understand it when you go that fast. It's
I bet
really
the sensor's
fascinating.
going crazy at this point. Patty, I'm shocked at you. You know, I read a piece about you how long ago? A year or so ago? And you were miserable at the time. Do you remember a long interview? I think it was a Rex Reed piece.
Yes, it was a Rex
and
Reed piece.
I felt very sorry for you from reading that.
Well,
you
thank
talked
you.
about the fact that you had been through such hell as an actress, and you talked about as a kid, while other kids were out playing games, you were forced to make the rounds looking for toothpaste commercials and things like that. And it was quite touching.
Well, I think it was a little more dramatic than the real life thing. I'm not bitter about it, really, but I have learned a great lesson for myself, and that is that I don't want my children to be in show business
You can say
until
that
they're old enough
categorically?
to, yes,
Yeah.
until they're old enough to decide for themselves. You know, I think the responsibility of growing up now is enough for anybody without taking on adult responsibilities when you're 7 years old.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Richard, may I call you that?
Sure, yeah.
You can call me Richard.
I'm going to let that pass. Both of you, do you feel that you would want your kids in the
No, you go
business?
ahead, Richard.
Well, I have 3 kids. I have a boy of 19 and a girl of 13 and a girl of 10. And in fact, the girl of 10 plays the last line in Oh, What a Lovely War.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think, oddly enough, that I would have let the others do it. I think that just as a stunt, there's no harm in that. But I would agree with you very much. I find it rather frightening that a child goes into an atmosphere of total narcissism and sycophantic behavior and so on, and I think all the false values must inevitably go.
I think so. I think there are very few child actors who really come out of the whole thing very well adjusted.
Yeah, when you think what Judy Garland went through and the way they...
Shirley Temple.
Right. The name isn't familiar. Shirley Temple?
Shirley Black, I didn't want to say Shirley.
Oh, Shirley Black, yes. The erstwhile
People thought
politician.
It was a racial thing, you know.
Yeah.
Shirley Temple Black.
Right. I know that I used to make rounds, and I used to see these little kids who are in the commercials, and some of them are very nice. No group is entirely bad, is it, folks? But some of them are rotten. And these little cherubic monsters with their hair cut into little gold bangs and bleached, and they're smacking each other with their glossy photographs, and really an appalling thing.
Dick, if you didn't have youngsters to play the role like Patty played,
Yeah,
where
that is
would
a problem.
her thing be now? Where would her career? I mean, that was a great scene, a great picture for her. And
Oh,
her
sure.
career was, you know, that makes a difference.
Well, that's why I
Somebody
have
had to
very
be the
mixed
child.
feelings about it, because I'm certainly very grateful for my way of life now. And I would never be doing this if I hadn't started when I was a child, I suppose.
You wouldn't be here tonight.
Right.
Well, I think the
That's
people
something to think about, isn't it?
the ones that aren't dedicated to the business soon split anyway, because like I spent 31 years of my life in show business, and I could have been something else easily. You know, there's a lot of stores to be robbed, and a lot of riots to be started, stuff like that. But
Red,
I'm not
there's
in
still
it.
time for all that.
No, it's not.
Don't worry.
We don't have time. I'm with the dart blowers.
Dart blowers.
Yes, that's if you don't like anybody, you sit behind them on the bus with your dart.
He's joking, boys and girls. We'll be back after... He's not, huh? We'll be back after this.